The Las Vegas Aces just got exposed in the most embarrassing way possible, and A'ja Wilson's dirty tactics backfired spectacularly. What happened in this playoff opener wasn't just a loss, it was complete humiliation on their home court, and the footage is absolutely damning. The Indiana Fever didn't just beat the two-time defending champions, they exposed every single weakness Vegas has been hiding. And Kelsey Mitchell's 34-point explosion was pure revenge for all the cheap shots thrown her way. Before we dive into how Wilson's antics completely destroyed her team's chances, drop a comment below. Do you think the refs are protecting certain superstars in this league? This was supposed to be A'ja Wilson's coronation night. Hours before tip-off, she collected her third MVP trophy in front of the home crowd. The arena buzzing with that championship swagger Vegas loves to flaunt. But by the final buzzer, that shiny trophy looked more like a curse than a crown. The Fever walked into Michelob Ultra Arena as massive underdogs, 6 players down with injuries, written off by every analyst who called this series a formality. Vegas had everything: the pedigree, the championships, the supposed mental edge. Becky Hammon even had the audacity to tell reporters that Indiana hadn't seen the real Aces yet, basically calling the regular season meetings flukes. That kind of arrogance would come back to haunt them in ways nobody saw coming. But that wasn't the whole story unfolding on the court. From the opening tip, something felt different about this Indiana team. They weren't playing scared, they weren't playing tentative, they were playing like a team with absolutely nothing to lose. And when you combine that freedom with Vegas abandoning actual basketball for Street Fighter tactics, you get one of the most shocking upsets in recent playoff history. The Fever controlled this game from start to finish, leading by as much as 18 points, and every time Vegas tried to close the gap, Indiana had an answer. Mitchell was unconscious from deep. Aaliyah Boston dominated the paint despite constant holding and shoving. And the role players stepped up huge when it mattered most. What happened next would shock everyone watching. A'ja Wilson, the newly crowned MVP, completely lost her composure and started playing the dirtiest basketball we've seen from a superstar in years. The footage doesn't lie. She was throwing elbows off the ball, shoving players during dead balls, and flopping so dramatically that even the Vegas crowd started groaning. At one point, she literally hooked Lexi Hull's arm, dragged herself to the floor, and acted like she'd been assaulted. The refs bought it, of course, but the replay showed the truth. This wasn't physical playoff basketball. This was desperation from a player who knew her team was getting outplayed. And here's the kicker. The more Wilson tried to intimidate and bully the Fever, the stronger they got. Every cheap shot, every flop, every questionable call just fueled Indiana's fire. The turning point came when Kelsey Mitchell drove for a layup and Wilson absolutely hammered her. No play on the ball, just a straight shove that should have been a flagrant. But instead of reviewing it properly, the refs somehow called a technical on Mitchell for her reaction. The arena went silent because even the Vegas fans knew that call was absolute garbage. Mitchell's response? She came down the next possession and drilled a 3 right in Wilson's face, then did it again and again. By the time she was done, she'd dropped 34 points on 58% shooting, turning what was supposed to be Vegas's celebration into a complete nightmare. Make sure to hit that like button if you think the officiating in this league needs serious investigation. But the real story here goes deeper than just one game. This exposed everything wrong with how the Aces approach adversity. When their pretty offensive sets stopped working, when Indiana's pace pushed them out of their comfort zone, Vegas didn't adjust. They just got dirtier. Jackie Young was throwing hip checks on screens that would make hockey players jealous. Chelsea Gray was grabbing jerseys on every cut. The entire team abandoned basketball fundamentals and tried to turn this into a wrestling match. And you know what's hilarious? Indiana's depleted roster, missing key players, still outworked them, outran them, and outplayed them in every single way that matters. The Fever shot 48% from the field, dominated the glass and never let Vegas get comfortable. Here's where it gets even more interesting. The stats tell a story Vegas doesn't want anyone talking about. In best-of-5 playoff series, 72% of teams that win Game 1 go on to win the whole thing. That's not just a number. That's a massive psychological advantage Indiana just stole on Vegas's home court. The Aces now have to win 4 out of the next 4 games maximum, and they have to do it against a team that just proved they're not scared of the champions, the MVP, or the hostile environment. Wilson finished with 28 points, but on terrible efficiency, forcing shots and trying to play hero ball instead of trusting the system that got them here. Meanwhile, Indiana had 5 players in double figures, showing the kind of balanced attack that wins playoff series. The aftermath revealed even more about this Vegas team's mental state. In the post-game press conference, Hammond looked shell-shocked, talking about how her team died on screens and didn't show second or third effort. Wilson tried to downplay it as just one game, but her body language told a different story. She knew they'd been exposed. The Fever, on the other hand, were calm and confident. Mitchell talked about staying focused and not getting too high after one win, but you could see it in her eyes. She knows they have Vegas's number. Boston dominated the paint despite giving up size. Natasha Howard provided veteran leadership, and the role players like Odyssey Sims came up huge when needed. What makes this even more shocking is the context of Indiana's season. They've been dealing with injuries all year, trying to find consistency with a roster that's constantly changing. The fact that they could walk into Vegas, missing multiple rotation players, and completely dominate the supposed best team in the league says everything about their mental toughness. This wasn't luck. This wasn't a fluke. This was a systematic dismantling of a team that thought they could coast on reputation alone. The Fever pushed pace when Vegas wanted to slow it down. They moved the ball when Vegas wanted isolation plays. And most importantly, they never backed down from the physical intimidation tactics. The controversial officiating deserves its own discussion because it was absolutely atrocious. Vegas got away with moving screens all game that would have been called in any other situation. Wilson's flopping was rewarded multiple times while Indiana players getting legitimately fouled got no calls. That technical on Mitchell was one of the worst calls in playoff history. She gets shoved on a layup attempt and somehow she's the one getting teed up. The league needs to address this because it's becoming a pattern. Certain players get superstar treatment while others get hammered with no consequences. But here's the beautiful part. Indiana won anyway. They overcame the bad calls, the hostile crowd, and the dirty play to steal Game 1. Looking ahead to Game 2, Vegas faces a massive problem. Their intimidation tactics failed spectacularly. Their offensive system got exposed, and now they're facing elimination pressure in a series they were supposed to dominate. Indiana has all the momentum, all the confidence, and they've proven they can win in that building. The Aces can't just flip a switch and suddenly become a different team. Their weaknesses have been laid bare for everyone to see. Wilson can't carry them alone, especially when she's more focused on flopping and throwing elbows than actually playing basketball. The role players like Alicia Clark and Kaya Stokes look lost when the game speeds up, and their bench provided absolutely nothing in Game 1. The bigger picture here is about the changing of the guard in the WNBA. Vegas has been the standard for the last few years, but this Indiana team represents something new. A young, hungry squad that plays with pace, unselfishness, and zero fear. They don't care about your championships, your MVPs, or your reputation. They're going to come at you for 40 minutes and make you prove you can beat them straight up. And when you resort to dirty tactics because you can't match their energy, they're going to expose you on national television. This series isn't over, but the psychological damage might already be done. The most telling moment came in the final minutes when Vegas was desperately trying to mount a comeback. Instead of running their offense through Wilson in the post where she has advantages, they settled for contested jumpers and forced drives. Meanwhile, Indiana stayed composed, moved the ball, and got great shots. Mitchell hit dagger after dagger, each one more deflating than the last. The Vegas crowd, so loud during the MVP ceremony, was dead silent by the end. You could feel the shock in the arena. This wasn't how the script was supposed to go. This upset sends shockwaves through the entire playoff picture. Other teams watching this are taking notes. Vegas is vulnerable. They crack under pressure. And if you match their physicality without backing down, they resort to cheap tactics that ultimately hurt their own game. The Fever just gave everyone the blueprint on how to beat the champions, and they did it while severely undermanned. Imagine what this team could do at full strength. The series continues, but the damage is done. Vegas's aura of invincibility is shattered. Wilson's MVP campaign looks hollow after this performance, and Indiana has proven they belong on this stage. For Vegas to have any chance of coming back in this series, they need to completely abandon the dirty tactics and get back to playing actual basketball. But can they do that when things get tough? History suggests no. This is a team that's gotten used to winning on talent alone, and when that doesn't work, they don't have a plan B except trying to bully opponents. Indiana has shown they won't be bullied, and now Vegas has to figure out how to actually outplay them. Good luck with that when your MVP is more interested in winning Academy Awards for her flopping than playing winning basketball. The Fever's Game 1 victory was more than just an upset. It was a statement that the league's power structure is shifting. The old guard can't just show up and expect to win anymore. These young teams are hungry, fearless, and ready to take what's theirs. Drop a comment below with your prediction for this series. And don't forget to subscribe for more exclusive WNBA playoff coverage. This is just the beginning of what could be the most shocking upset in playoff history.